Thank you very much for tuning into this episode of The Cutting Edge with JackKnife. Got a little different thing for you guys today. There's not much on my schedule as far as this show goes. Nothing outside of the typical Rangers recaps or Jets recaps that are exclusive only to the podcast platforms for those of you watching or listening to this on YouTube. For this episode, I'm going to show you guys my audition tape I made for Barstool's talent search back in 2022. Obviously, it wasn't enough to get me onto Barstool, but hey, I figured I was proud enough of it to show you guys. And on our Instagram story the other night, I asked if you guys wanted to see it, and 11 of you, or 100% of you that voted, said yes. So I'll be stopping in from time to time to chime in, give a little commentary, reflect back on it. But anyway, here it is. Enjoy.
Should I go with a cold open? It's gotta be something good. I better come up with something before the music starts to... I suppose that's one way to get this going. Hello, Barstool Sports. Dave Portnoy. My name is Jack Loneker, but you may call me JackKnife. I currently live in Manalapan, New Jersey, and I host a podcast called Funts. For Fat, Unathletic Nerds Talking Sports. Yes, that's the title. And we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm not sure if this helps me at all, but when I was in middle school in 06, I think it was. Yes, 06, I did play Little League with one of your bloggers and podcast hosts, Hubs. You could ask him. He might tell you I'd suck at baseball, which he would be right about. But anyway, enough about that. Here's some reasons why you guys should consider adding me to the Barstool team. First, I'll give you some background about myself. I graduated from William Patterson University, cum laude, in a degree in communications where I majored in broadcast journalism. When I was at school, the thing I was most famous for was being the public address announcer for the school's hockey team. Here's a clip.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ice Vault Arena, the home of Pioneer Hockey. Tonight, the ACHA presents this matchup between the Siena College Saints and your William Patterson University Pioneers.
Yeah, I know. Good thing I got a haircut. I wouldn't say I come from basketball royalty, but this is a pretty freaking cool fact about myself. I don't know what the relation is. He's my grandpa's cousin, so I'm going to say great uncle. For now, great uncle. Freaking correct me on that if you need to. My great uncle is Frank Pep Saul, who won 4 NBA championships, 3 with the Lakers when they were in Minnesota, and 1 with the Sacramento Kings when they were the Rochester Royals. His number 3 is retired at Seton Hall University. As you guessed by the jerseys behind me, I kind of like to be miserable. Especially these fucks over here.
The goddamn Jets.
But as you can tell by the jersey I'm wearing, the team I love the most is the New York Rangers. After I graduated college, I wrote for a site called Elite Sports NY, where I wrote weekly articles on the New York Rangers. I even got the chance to interview the team for a charity event that was being thrown by Kevin Shattenkirk, where the rest of the team was there. I did that work for free, and eventually it did pay off because in August of 2019, I got a call to go work for ESPN in their stats and info department. When I was a kid, I had dreams of one day anchoring SportsCenter, or some show on ESPN, being one of those talking heads like Stephen A. Smith or Scott Van Pelt, you name it. The job I had wasn't necessarily production, but it was pretty awesome. I was a part-time sports data analyst, and my job was literally to watch certain games they assigned to me, and make sure everything was updating accordingly for the website and the ticker that was at the bottom of the network. I put plays in the top 10 of SportsCenter multiple times, and whenever that did happen, I was like that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio when he was pointing at the TV. Yeah, that one. I was hoping to one day earn a full-time position there, but as we all know, in March 2020, the shit hit the fan, to say the least. The work shutdown really hit me hard. I mean, I was no longer able to afford my apartment in Connecticut. I was forced to bounce around houses from relative to relative. And when work did start up again in October, I was only able to work 1 or 2 days a week. And yeah, that was not enough to get an apartment. And I was forced to commute from central New Jersey all the way to central Connecticut. That's 4 to 5 hours round trip. Unfortunately, in March of 2021, I had to make the difficult decision to leave ESPN and come back home for full-time work. I don't dwell on it too much, considering one of my full-time coworkers there told me, don't feel bad at all, you would have been waiting here forever for a full-time promotion. So my career in sports media was basically shot down in flames because of this whole pandemic. The one good thing about me leaving ESPN is that I no longer was held back by any conflict of interest, and I still had a bit of a urge for a creative release. So that led to me creating the Funts podcast, or again, Fat Unathletic Nerds Talking Sports. Now, Dave, I know what you're thinking. What the fuck is with that title? Well, it's quite simple. If you're gonna be a 5'7", 200-pound dweeb who could barely throw a football, and you're going to criticize guys making millions doing that stuff, well, you might as well be honest about it. As the creator of Fat Unathletic Nerds Talking Sports, the sports pod with dad bods, I am a host, obviously. I shoot and edit a lot of the podcasts myself, as well as create much content for our social media pages, which you can see right here. While a good amount of our hosts tend to root for New York teams, we also have a bit of Philadelphia fan touch in there. So our show has a bit of a New York-Philadelphia bias, if that makes sense to you, being in Central Jersey and all. Funts episodes basically are like a bunch of us sitting down talking about current events in sports, whether it be football, hockey, baseball, etc. But we also have our own little mini shows. For example, I have The Cutting Edge with JackKnife, where, I might talk for like 10-15 minutes, primarily about the New York Rangers. My friend and co-host Zach, who definitely applied to be on this town search also, at some point, has his own show called A Shot of Zach Daniels, where he mostly talks football, especially the Eagles. And my buddy Tom, he does whenever he can his own NASCAR thing called Splash and Go with Tommy Joe.
It's me. I'm interrupting the video. Remember it was called that, not Armchair Racers?
And let me just say, on our Instagram page, our memes are fire. Don't just take my word for it. Take Pat Light's word for it. Yeah, I have the receipts. Right here. Yeah, Pat Light likes our memes. Likes quite a few of them, actually. I'm flattered, to be honest. In fact, one of our hockey memes actually caught the eye of the Pink Whitney Instagram page, and they threw us a like too. Not a follow, but hey, can't win them all, right? But anyway, enough about funds. Let's get back to me. Where I shine the most is definitely when I talk about hockey. That is my favorite sport. That is the sport I know the most about. As I said before, I'm a huge New York Ranger fan. I love this team. I love that they're historically underdogs. They've had some legendary players. Mark Messier, Brian Leetch, Rod Gilbert. And they have a very bright future ahead of them. Because of my love for hockey, I'd love to do some collaboration with Spit and Chicklets, get to know Biz, Witt, Grinelli, R.A. Come to think of it, you guys do have a Rangers blogger in 610. Maybe him and I could possibly host a Rangers podcast the same way Hubs and Tommy Smoke host a Yankees podcast. I know Glenny Balls likes the Rangers too. Maybe he could join us.
Okay, maybe asking Glenny Balls to be on a Rangers podcast wasn't the smartest move on my part.
But as you guessed by the jerseys behind me, my love for sports doesn't just stop at hockey. I grew up a Yankee fan. I love baseball. I love watching baseball. I love breaking down things that happen in the game. The Jets make me absolutely miserable, but me being the pain-loving guy I am, I always come back rooting for them the next Sunday. They can't be this bad forever, right? And every once in a while, I like to catch some hoops with the New York Knicks. Something else I like to do in my work is, make some references to movies and TV shows. It kind of helps me get my points across whenever I'm talking about something. So that's why I belong at Barstool and how I can contribute to the Barstool team. I'm very knowledgeable and passionate about the teams I root for. Not to mention, I do have experience interviewing professional athletes, so I do know how to keep a cool head in the moment. Finally, I take a lot of pride in the work I do and the content I create, and I got plenty of ideas for new and exciting content. For example, I came up with this idea for my podcast. I never had a chance to do it. You know, I'm an Uber driver too. You know, talk sports with my passengers, put that on the podcast. You know, it's awesome. It's like combining Cash Cab with a sports radio talk show or call-in show. Like, I just never had the chance to do it because I can't get a good enough dash cam, and, well, I'm saving up for a wedding, so.
Since this, I've stopped driving for Uber, so screw that idea.
Fat Unathletic Nerds Talking Sports is intended to be a creative release in order for me to express my thoughts on sports. I truly never expected it to take off unless we got lucky. When I left ESPN, I thought my dreams of being a professional sports commentator were shot down in flames. Until I saw your ad. I am more than just...
Here I said my job title, not giving away too much information.
And I need Barstool to give me the opportunity to show that. Dave, I've always had a desire to work for you. Barstool always seemed like such a great place to work for if you're a guy like me. I pondered going to Federici's the day you actually went there. By the way, 8.8 is way too low for Federici's. Just saying. That they are a solid 10. I especially kick myself for not going there that day because, if I'm not mistaken, that was the day the shit hit the fan and Rudy Gobert tested positive. Maybe you could have sold me away from them, Dave. I know you'd love to stick it to ESPN somehow. Especially on camera right there. Dave, if you give me the chance, I will go to war for you. I'll go a step further. I'm giving you full permission to crash some Fun's content Bill Murray style. This Tuesday, at the time of this recording, January 11th, Tommy, Joe, and I are heading to Moore's Tavern in Freehold, New Jersey to do a burger review for Fun's. By the way, I highly recommend that place. It's a historical landmark in Freehold. George Washington drank beer in that building. I shit you not. Come on down, get a feel for me, get to know me a little. And I get to know you back. And I hope you look at me and be like, this kid is weird. I like him. Let's bring him on board. At the very least, you could get a pizza review out of there. They do make some good pizzas. Bar pies, in fact. I know how much you love your bar pies, Dave. I'm lowballing here. I'd say you'd give them at least a solid 8.0. Again, lowballing. And if it is beyond January 11th by the time you see this, well, I guess we'll just have to do this like every other candidate.
Yeah, clearly this was a Hail Mary on my part, so.
I definitely can't guarantee that my work is the best of all the applicants you will receive. But what I can tell you is that a lot of passion and effort will go into everything I do for Barstool. So I'm begging you, Dave Portnoy. I know I don't have the biggest following out there, but I am begging for the chance to be your Mr. Irrelevant. Nah, you're a Boston sports guy. I think you'll like this analogy better. Dave, let me be your 199th overall pick that not a lot of people know about, but is itching to prove himself. I hope you are impressed with the work I did submit, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future, Dave. I'm sorry, Prez. I hope to one day call you my boss. This is JackKnife. Have a wonderful night.
So that was my audition tape for Barstool Sports. I hope you liked it. Looking back, I think it did come off a little desperate, you know, kind of looking for that Chris Castellani moment. He made Dave Portnoy laugh, so Dave gave him a job, you know. And like I said in the video, I was hoping Dave would see me and be like, this kid's weird. I like him. You heard me say that already. Part of me still hopes, you know, something like that can happen eventually. I don't know if this podcast will ever pick up, you know, to where I'm doing this professionally, or if I just keep doing this as a hobby. But regardless, I hope you guys liked it, and I know at this moment I don't exactly have a huge amount of followers, but I am appreciative for each and every single one of you. So I figured I'd give you guys a little something special to see this week. So thank you very much for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Fun's Podcast if you don't already. And be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at Fat Athletic Nerds Talking Sports. This is JackKnife. Have a wonderful night, everyone.